Welcome to another video of the Azure Migrate series covering the demo of the tool and its capabilities. If you have watched the previous videos in the series, you must already be aware of how a typical migration journey is divided into stages of decide, plan, and execute. In this video, we will cover the decide phase of the migration journey, which involves developing a business case, securing stakeholder buy-in, and selecting the appropriate cloud strategy to ensure alignment with the organization's goals. Azure Migrate tooling aids customers in this phase by helping them discover their data center, visualize network dependencies, and creating a business case to visualize TCO and evaluate ROI to migrate to Azure. Before we get to the demo, you need to ensure that you have created an Azure Migrate project and discovered your data center inventory through the Azure Migrate appliance or through import. To ensure accurate calculations, please fix your discovery issues before building the business case. Let's move on to a project that I have created for this demo, where I have already discovered the data estate that you intend to migrate. The new overview screen comes up, which helps you navigate through your migration journey in a structured manner. You can see the discovered inventory with both workloads and applications, and there are no visible discovery issues in this scenario. To envision savings and ROI for migrating to Azure, let's click on Build Business Case. Give the business case a unique name. Now you need to select the scope for the business case. You may choose to leave it to the default, which is the entire data center. However, you can also choose to build the business case on a scoped set of workloads and applications by choosing the selected scope option. Click on Add Workloads and Add Applications to select the scope for your business case. You may choose all the different applications and workloads and add them to the scope of this business case. Once you click on Add, these workloads and applications will be added to the scope of this business case. However, in this case, we will choose to create the business case on the entire data center, as that will present the complete picture to get a stakeholder buy-in. Once you have finalized the scope, click on Next. Choose the location in which you wish to build the business case. Choose the migration preference between Modernize or Migrate to IaaS. If you migrate to IaaS, choose the target workload between Azure VM or Azure VMware Solution. We will leave this to Modernize, as the discovered inventory contains databases as well as web apps which we intend to modernize. Next, you can choose the savings option combination that you want to be considered while optimizing the Azure costs and maximizing savings based on the availability of the savings option in the chosen region and the target. The business case will recommend the appropriate savings option to maximize savings on Azure. Choose reserved instances if there are stable, predictable workloads with no plan changes. Choose reserved instances plus Azure Savings Plan if you want additional flexibility and automated cost optimization for dynamic workloads. In this business case, Azure Savings Plan savings will be calculated for Azure VM and Azure App Service targets. As your savings plan enables you to unlock lower prices on select compute services, when you commit to spend a fixed hourly amount for 1 or 3 years, you can save on compute usage regardless of region, instance, series, or operating system. You can provide any discount percentage that you are anticipating on your pay-as-you-go prices. Once you have chosen all the settings, click on Build Business Case. The overview report that you see is an executive summary of the business case. It helps understand the TCO comparison on premises and Azure and estimated steady-state savings. Here you can see X% savings by moving to Azure with the recommended migration strategy and applying unique Azure benefits like Azure Savings Plan and Azure Hybrid benefits. As customers execute their migration project over the next few years, you can see a more realistic year-on-year cost model, which shows net positive cash flows as customers move from a CapEx-heavy model to an OpEx model. Once it is established that customers are better off on Azure than on premises, they can see cost savings by applying existing Windows and SQL Server licenses to Azure Hybrid benefit. You can also see the savings through extended security updates, savings through security using Microsoft Defender for Cloud, and savings through using management services on Azure. You can also see the potential emissions reduction by moving to Azure, and you can see these reductions across multiple scopes and different infrastructure types. In the Scoped Items section, you can find the workloads and applications in the scope of the business case. And you can also find a resource summary across cores, storage, and memory for the selected scope. You can look at the split between workloads grouped as a part of applications versus workloads that are independent. Moreover, you can also find the split across your different infrastructure, database, and web app workloads. You can also find more detailed insights about the workloads, such as distribution by supportability, virtualization, OS version, etc. Next, you can see the detailed on-premises versus Azure TCO comparison and find insights to what really is contributing to these savings. I can see the savings across multiple verticals like compute, storage, network, security, management, labor, and facilities. I can also find out insights about the savings under these different verticals. In this case, I see that I saved XX in storage and Y because of no facilities costs on Azure. I can see this cost and savings across my workloads, which have been grouped as applications versus the workloads which haven't been grouped as applications. In the Detailed Migration Strategies page, you can see the different applications and workloads which are ready for migration. You can also find details into the split for applications and workload targets across Gartner's ARIS, such as rehost, replatform, and refactor. Moreover, you can find the cost split across the target SKUs that all workloads and applications are moving to. You can also find the cost of ARC, enabling these retained workloads, and the savings realized from retiring and decommissioning workloads. Migration journeys are traditionally long, and hence, in the Azure ARC report, you can understand additional savings you can generate if you enable ARC on your servers during the course of your migration journey. You can see in this case that there are additional savings of $X if you enable ARC on your on-premises servers across compute, security, and management labor. Although we have taken industry-standard benchmarks for computing the business case, you can even modify the assumptions and configuration manually to generate a more context-specific business case. You can change the assumptions that went into calculating the Azure cost, as well as the assumptions that went into calculating the on-premises cost. You may choose to update license costs under compute, or you may even customize the facilities cost per kilowatt hour in accordance to your convenience to ensure the most accurate calculations. Now that you have learned how you can build a business case to secure a stakeholder buy-in to make the decision to migrate to Azure, in the next video, you can learn how Azure Migrate can help you in the planning phase by performing a detailed assessment of the current environment, which you can use to finally execute your migration to Azure. Thank you for watching this video.